Have you ever wondered why your heart insists on loving the very ones who hurt you? Sigmund Freud called this desire and destruction, two invisible forces intertwined within you. The unconscious, silent yet relentless, pushes you back into the same arms that squeeze until they wound. It is as if the mind seeks the fire, even while knowing it will burn. A gaze that should bring comfort cuts like a blade. A touch that should soothe binds like a chain. And the question that echoes is inevitable. Do you truly choose whom you love, or is it your unconscious choosing for you? You believe you freely choose who enters your life, but Freud revealed something unsettling. Often, it is not you who decides. It is your unconscious, silent yet powerful, that opens and closes the doors through which people walk. Inside you live memories that were never resolved, old wounds that remained hidden, yet never healed. These buried scars keep pulsing, and without you realizing it, they shape your desires. It is like an invisible chain pulling you in the same direction, even when you try to resist. You think you have found someone completely different. A new smile, a new voice, a new story. But little by little, familiar signs emerge. A tone of voice that awakens memories. A gesture that makes you relive emotions you thought were buried. It is as if your mind had written the script before the first encounter. Freud called this unconscious repetition, the tendency to seek in the present what was once lived in the past. You do not repeat because you enjoy the pain. You repeat because your mind insists on trying to fix what was never resolved. And until you uncover this hidden root, you will remain trapped in the cycle, drawn to those who touch the same wounds, as if it were destiny. Freud believed that behind every gesture of love lies a silent conflict between two opposing forces. On one side is EROS, the life instinct, the energy that seeks union, pleasure, and continuity. On the other, THANATOS, the death instinct, the hidden drive that longs for rupture, pain, and destruction. These impulses do not exist apart. They intertwine like threads of the same rope, guiding you without your awareness. That is why so many relationships feel so intense. You feel the flame of EROS in the embrace, in desire, in the pleasure of merging with another. But alongside that light, THANATOS slowly breathes, corroding, suffocating, preparing the ground for pain. It is like dancing on a brightly lit stage, unaware that the floor beneath you is fragile and may give way at any moment. In daily life, this reveals itself in small gestures. The gaze that makes you feel alive is also the gaze that casts the first doubt. The word that warms your heart is the same that, moments later, cuts like a blade. You surrender, believing you have found shelter, only to discover that the same place is also a prison. Freud warns us, where there is desire, there may also be destruction. And the line between love and pain is far thinner than you imagine. Now ask yourself, have you ever lived a love that seemed like healing, but was, in truth, poison? Freud called this unsettling phenomenon the repetition compulsion, the tendency to relive, again and again, the same story of pain. You believe you have found someone different. The face is new, the voice is new, the promises seem fresh. But before you know it, familiar signs begin to surface. It is as if the shadows of the past had only changed their clothes to deceive you. The unconscious sets traps. It casts new actors to play old roles. And without realizing it, you repeat the scene, hoping that this time the ending will be different. It is like opening a book you already know, while convincing yourself the ending has changed. The paradox is cruel. You do not return because you enjoy the pain, but because the unconscious insists on trying to heal the wound in the very place where it was born. And in this silent search for repair, you end up falling into the same chains. Every reunion is not coincidence. It is the trauma trying to speak to you again. And as long as that voice goes unheard, the cycle will repeat like an endless echo. If this speaks to you, subscribe to the channel. You are not alone. Your story may have been written by shadows, but the next chapter can still be rewritten by you. For Freud, desire is never simple or innocent. It is born from the deep layers of the unconscious, carrying the marks of past experiences that shape the way you love. That is why, so often, you feel an irresistible attraction precisely to the one who will hurt you the most. Desire works like bait. It presents itself as a charming invitation. The smile that captures your attention, the word that sounds like a promise, the touch that ignites the flame. You believe you are in control, yet you are already walking straight into the trap. It is like the moth that cannot resist the flame. It flies toward the light because it looks like life. But as it gets too close, it discovers that the same brightness is destruction. So it is with desire. What seems like love is often just the repetition of a wound that was never healed. The unconscious creates the illusion of choice. But in truth, it is what guides your steps. You think you are loving freely, when in reality, you are obeying an invisible command, written in your mind long before this encounter. And here arises the question, uncomfortable, yet necessary. Do you really choose the one you love, or is it your unresolved wound that chooses for you? Freud believed there is something even more disturbing than repeating pain. It is finding hidden pleasure within it. Not a conscious pleasure, but a secret relief the unconscious feels when it relives what it already knows. Your body recognizes the wound and, paradoxically, confuses that recognition with safety. It is like stepping into a dark room for the 100th time. You cannot see, but you already know where the furniture is. You already know how to walk through it. Pain becomes familiar, and familiarity creates the illusion of comfort. So you cling to what hurts, as if it were refuge. In real life, this happens subtly. You change partners, you change settings, but the background music remains the same. It is that melody that keeps playing, even when you try to turn it off. The faces change, but the feeling is identical. The mixture of love and wound, of embrace and chain. This is the cruel paradox of the unconscious. In trying to escape pain, you run straight toward it. And as long as you believe this echo is true love, you will remain trapped in the same dark symphony. The unconscious pleasure in pain is like a poisoned sweetness. You drink it believing it is healing, but with every sip, the wound deepens. Freud said the first step toward liberation is bringing to light what has been hidden. As long as the unconscious rules in silence, you remain a prisoner of your impulses and your repetitions. But the moment you recognize the pattern, something shifts. It is like lighting a candle in a dark room where you have always stumbled. Suddenly, the furniture, the corners, the obstacles become visible. They were always there, but now you can see them. And what once looked like destiny begins to reveal itself as repetition. You realize that the gaze you thought was unique has already appeared in other faces. That flame you believed was irresistible has burned you before. And the familiarity you mistook for love was, in truth, pain disguised as shelter. When the unconscious becomes conscious, you gain the chance to choose differently. Not because the wound has vanished, but because now you know where it comes from. The invisible thread loses its power once it is exposed, and you can decide whether to remain bound to it or finally let go. This is the turning point, understanding that you do not need to repeat, that you can give yourself what you have always desperately sought in another. And in that instant, the prison begins to crack. Desire and destruction walk together within you. The same impulse that seeks warmth can lead you to the abyss. The same love that promises healing may hide the wound that bleeds the most. Now you know, many times, it is not the other who destroys you. It is the echo within you that keeps choosing the same fire. The unconscious guides your steps, and you call destiny what, in truth, is repetition. But once that shadow is exposed, you are no longer a hostage. You can look the pattern in the eyes, recognize its chains, and decide whether you will remain bound or break free. That choice is not easy, but it is possible. And each time you recognize the hidden truth, one more link in the chain is broken. If this message spoke to you, leave your like. That simple gesture shows you are awake and gives strength for more content like this to reach you. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You may be the spark that lights up the darkness where someone else is still trapped. In the end, the battle with the unconscious is silent, but it does not have to be solitary. I will see you in the shadows of the next hidden truth.